What is going on, YouTubers, Facebook viewers, Twitch streamers, etc., etc.? It is Referee Rob Jackson back with another. Can I can't change this. All right. So, what we're doing is we are reacting to Fantasy Folklore's "What If Darth Tenebrous Trained Anakin Skywalker." Now, this is a series I'm going to start doing where I'm reacting to a lot of Star Wars fan fictions, what ifs, and so if you hear me hitting this or drinking this or doing whatever. That's it. But we're going to react to these, and I figured why the hell not, because I wanted to do some reaction videos, and I still am uploading, or well, not uploading, but I'm editing a couple of videos I made for a few of the wrestling stuff, like top 10 things to expect when going to your first indie wrestling show, or top 10 things to expect when becoming or when joining the wrestling business, stuff like that. So be sure to look out for those videos. Be sure to also check out the Bengal Dragon over here on YouTube. Tanveer Syed, he makes some funny fucking videos, great reviews, especially over on the stuff like The Evil Within, Resident Evil, a lot of the soccer. I call it football, but I'm saying soccer for Americans who don't understand. A lot of the football games, like Bangladesh games. So if you guys want to check him out, definitely check him out. Like this man, I owe him so much. Like, he's definitely one of the best friends you could ask for, and I can't tell you, Tan, how much I appreciate you. So go subscribe to the Bengal Dragon. Also subscribe to Solaj Boy Tell Him 888. That is Avery's channel if you want to see more of his videos, and subscribe to You So Nice. That is that is Cody's channel. If you remember Cody from RCW, the days, he runs his own YouTube channel. So please go subscribe to You So Nice, to the Bengal Dragon, and Solaj Boy Tell Him 888. All right, let's go ahead and get right into it.
Tenebrous was the mysterious Bith master of Darth Plagueis, who himself was the master of Darth Sidious. We know little about Darth Tenebrous, mostly from the Darth Plagueis novel.
I don't have my lightsaber.
But after I read
lightsaber's
it,
in my car.
I couldn't help but wonder, what if Darth Tenebrous trained Anakin Skywalker? Darth Tenebrous had a unique perspective on the Force. He was a Bith, and they were known for their enormous brains and advanced intellect, specifically in the fields of science and technology.
And for the music
Tenebrous
in
saw
New
the
Hope.
Force not as a mystical or spiritual power to be revered, but rather as a cosmic energy source that could be quantified, studied, and manipulated, like any other natural force in the universe. He believed that through advanced scientific understanding, one could achieve mastery over the Force. However, in Legends, Darth Tenebrous was killed in the year 67 BBY by his apprentice Darth Plagueis. However, this move was calculated by Darth Tenebrous. He was not afraid to die, as this was a part of his calculated plan. He saw the Force as an energy source that could be used.
I'm surprised the Acolyte wanted to take advantage of this, have Darth Plagueis in the series. They showed him at the end of the last episode. I didn't watch the full show. I just only fast forwarded to the part where Plagueis was, and that's all I saw. But if Disney decides to fix it and stop making it fucking agenda driven, and stop putting politics into it, and stop appealing to only a certain crowd, if instead they appealed to the Star Wars fans and gave us the lore and the story that was supposed to be in it that actually matches up with everything. Hold on, let me move my camera right up here. There we go. But yeah, if Disney actually decided to say, hey, let's actually make the show about fucking Star Wars, then yeah, we'd be happy. We'd be fine. And if they do Plagueis right, that's how they do it. But they have to show all of Plagueis' apprentices from the time of the Acolyte all the way to Palpatine. And they have to have Ian McDiarmid come back and play Palpatine. They have to have... it would be really cool to see Tom what's his fucking name? Loki from the Avengers and Thor. Loki. Tom something. Fuck. There's so many Toms. There's Tom Hardy, there's Tom Holland, there's but yeah. So do it right, Disney.
Used to take from and impose on his true will, his one true power, his intellect. He had foreseen his death and the end
That's a
of
good
the
video.
rule of two.
By the way, that is a good video. You should watch that. It is Darth Plague. It's the Darth Plagueis video. Once you see it, you'll understand. Like you'll know.
The Jedi and Sith would end, and through the chaos, he would emerge. As Tenebrous died at the hands of Darth Plagueis, all of his midichlorians died. However, what survived within him were a fraction of midichlorians that were not dying, and they were called maxichlorians. And through the maxichlorians,
See, I can make a
Tenebrous
joke
stayed
about that.
connected to life and used this to activate his force ability.
When I say I can make a joke about that, Mexichlorians, Mexicools. If you don't remember Mexicools, you're not an OG, man. Get the fuck out of here. We love the Mexicools. We miss you guys.
Transfer, and used the maxichlorians to transfer his consciousness to a second secret apprentice, Darth Venomous, who was also a Bith whom he trained for this very moment. Tenebrous took over Venomous's body and forced his consciousness out successfully and gained control, and his apprentice Plagueis was none the wiser and believed he had killed Tenebrous and had become the true Dark Lord of the Sith. And this is what Tenebrous wanted him to believe. Tenebrous had chosen Plagueis carefully as an apprentice, because as a Mun, he knew Plagueis was afraid to die, which would lead him towards the study of the midichlorians to postpone his life. He knew Plagueis would have a combination of a particular set of skills surrounding the direct perception and manipulation of the midichlorians' activity. An apprentice whose sole purpose was to create a being made of pure force energy, a being which Tenebrous would transfer his essence into and become the most powerful Sith Lord of all time. Of course, we're talking about Anakin Skywalker, and Tenebrous believed Plagueis had the power to create him. Through Tenebrous' calculations, he believed that a being born of true force was possible. Combined with an obscure legend referenced in the Journal of the Wills, confirmed it in his mind. And with his supposed death and essence transferred to Darth Venomous, all he had to do was wait. For the next couple of decades,
So, little thing about that, in for those who don't know, in Legends, originally it was Palpatine who created Anakin through the Force. I believe it was either going to be Palpatine. What, is my mouse just like shitting the bed, or like is it? Nope. No. We're having some technical difficulties. Alright, so we gotta go to history. Fuck, we gotta do this again. Alright, not shorts.
Hey guys, today's video is sponsored by Once Human. I had a lot of fun checking it out. I hope you guys have as much fun watching it.
Tenebrous watched from the
shadows. Hold on, so I gotta check out how the fuck do I replace the batteries in this again? Yeah, we're having technical difficulties. Oh, it's rechargeable. What? Oh, I never knew that. That is so cool. What? Okay, so hold on one second. Give me just a second. Yeah, give me a second. I don't know if this is dead or not, but give me 1 second. Does this work? No. All right. I think it's fully charged. Yeah, we're going to brighten that a little bit. All right, so let's continue.
Shadows, seeing his foolish apprentice continue his manipulation of the galaxy, as well as finding and training his apprentice Darth Sidious. But during this time, Tenebrous worked on something else. He decided to revisit a plan that he and his master had for the galaxy. They worked on their own unique way to destroy the Jedi Order through a virus that would attack Force sensitives and cut off their connection to the Force. He spent these decades revisiting and perfecting the virus through his many calculations and technological innovations. However, there was something missing that would finalize the creation of this Jedi virus, and through his calculations, he discovered that it was his own lack of power. The virus required an influx of dark side energy to stabilize the chemical matrix, and by himself with his limitations, he could not reach this threshold. However, when he takes over the being created by the Force through Plagueis, then he will have the power to do so. The time came when Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious sat in their laboratory and attempted to probe deep into the Force to create a being made from pure dark side energy. Plagueis thought they had failed, as the Force went quiet to his persistent probing. However, he was indeed successful, technically. The Force had created a being with the power strong enough in the Force to defeat the Sith and counter the manipulations of the midichlorians and Force. But across the galaxy, Tenebrous sensed they were successful, and knew this was the being he had calculated and read about in the Journal of the Wills. Of course, they are talking about the conception of Anakin Skywalker. He sensed the being born on Tatooine, and Tenebrous went there immediately. He enters the earthy hut where the Force energy is coming from to find the mother of the child, a young woman with dark brown hair sitting alone, and Tenebrous goes to transfer his essence into the young child, whilst he is immature enough to block his efforts. Tenebrous thought his success was guaranteed. In fact, he had calculated that it would be. However, the Force blocked his essence transfer, and Tenebrous's entire plan had failed. He could not believe it. Through the calculations, he had to be successful, but he underestimated the Force and believed it would bend to his will, just as he wanted it to. He stood there in shock. Had he wasted his entire life? Was his death decades ago meaningless? No. He must change his plans. He can still use the boy created by the Force, and will wait until he is born. After the child of the Force is born, and given the name Anakin Skywalker, Tenebrous takes him for himself, steals him from his mother Shmi's arms, kills her out of spite, and takes him back to his homeworld, Dor 7, where his base is. He's been forced to change his plans. He decides he'll train the boy, so his power grows to the point where he can help him create the Jedi virus, and then together, they will defeat the Jedi and Sith. Tenebrous begins training Anakin in the dark side, in a cold and calculated manner, as he planned his training carefully. A master of long-term planning, set a schedule for how he would train the boy, and slowly teach him all the secrets of the dark side. Meanwhile, during this time, Tenebrous decided to join the political sphere, and became the senator for Dor 7, using Darth Venomous' real name, Varen Malvos, and his political career began. He watched from afar, as Plagueis' apprentice Palpatine had done the same, and just joined the Senate, and he finds joy in the fact that Plagueis must believe he'll be the one to destroy the Jedi and take control of the galaxy. Let's fast forward 10 years into the future. Anakin's power at only 10 years.
So at this point, we got to think that Tenebrous, but Darth Tenebrous, we got to think at this point that, you know, if this is the case, then he's got to either pull on a facade of being an apprentice to Palpatine, or reveals himself as the true master, and like to Palpatine, the true master of Plagueis, showing the essence transfer and teaching Palpatine how to do so. So that he would become Palpatine's master, still withhold secrets, but shoot, let's find out where this goes.
10 years old is incredible. Tenebrous's calculations were wrong, as he underestimated Anakin, who by now was a master of lightsaber combat. and had an insanely strong aptitude for the Force, mastering many Force abilities. He had some years to go until he would become a true master, but he was almost there. Meanwhile, in the original timeline, this is the point where Palpatine killed Plagueis. However, we're gonna change the events in this story. Originally, Palpatine killed Plagueis because the dark side told him to. However, the dark side wouldn't in this timeline because Tenebrous is still alive, and therefore, Plagueis and Sidious start the Separatist crisis and recruit Dooku to their side, convincing them to join after he sent their assassin Maul to kill Qui-Gon, pulling Dooku to the dark side. And because of this, Maul never dies. They begin the creation of the clone army, and the final stages of Plagueis' grand plan is set in motion. Tenebrous applauds his plan. It will most certainly work, but Tenebrous is always 2 steps ahead, and will twist this to his liking. Tenebrous calculates that the clones will take 10 years to create an army, well over Palpatine's limit for his term as Chancellor, and Tenebrous will use this to his advantage. He starts to bolster his position in the Senate to create a sort of sub-faction that acts against Palpatine's wishes, blaming him for worlds seceding from the Republic to join the Confederacy of Independent Systems, and everything that's wrong with the galaxy. This is slow, but he has years to do this, and his status slowly increases. He recruits other members in the Senate, and his faction grows. However, during this time, he survives many assassination attempts from assailants hired by Palpatine and Plagueis, including Maul himself, but he was able to fend him off without exposing his Force powers. A few years after Palpatine's ascension to Chancellor, he announced Hago Damask, Plagueis' real name, as co-Chancellor.
Ah, the original plan.
Looking for the perfect gift?
No.
Wrap up your holiday shopping.
Skip.
And together the two Sith had complete control over
So this was the original plan.
When Anakin reached 16 years old, his power was exactly as he had envisioned, and Tenebrous believed that he had finally reached the level where he could assist him in the creation of the virus. They start the ritual, and they pour all of their dark side energy into the virus, altering the chemical structure, making it a stable and functioning bioweapon. They were successful, and Tenebrous marveled in their victory. He had everything he needed, and now they just had to wait. But something Tenebrous thought was paramount was finding a way in which he and Anakin could become immune to the virus. And they did this through slowly microdosing themselves with small doses, too small to have a proper effect, but large enough to gain immunity. They did this over the next couple of years, and they both became immune to the virus. Tenebrous decided to bring Anakin into the public fold as his adopted son, so the Senate was familiarized with him, so when the time came for their takeover, the galaxy was prepared. They were both masters at hiding their Force sensitivity, and thus, Plagueis and Sidious were oblivious. At 8 years into Palpatine and Plagueis' term as co-chancellors, they had reached the limit they were allowed to spend in office, and Tenebrous publicly called for their removal from office. But the majority of the Senate voted for them to stay in power due to the Separatist crisis, as stable leaders were required during this time. Tenebrous expected that Palpatine and Plagueis would remain as co-chancellors, and that his efforts would be futile, but it was all part of his plan. However, he believed in a couple of years' time, when the Clone War was upon him, when he once again brought up their doubts as chancellors, the vote would be different. Tenebrous, through his calculations, believed the Clone War would begin in 2 years, and only then would he and Anakin strike when the Jedi and Sith least expected it. By now, Anakin is 18 years old, and he is a fully fledged Sith Lord. His power was terrifying, equal to that of Darth Tenebrous, and maybe even superior in some aspects.
So, gonna pause right here. So, at this point, Star Wars Theory has pointed it out, and quite a few other people have, but George Lucas said that when Anakin had lost to Obi-Wan on Mustafar, he was only, like, when he was put in the suit, he was only at 80% of his power. Had he not lost to Obi-Wan, 100% of his power, like, because here's the thing, Vader was very powerful. He was sent to kill many Jedi, even though Vader had a hate boner for Obi-Wan because of what Obi-Wan did, because Vader's a bitch, but at the same time he's not. Vader was extremely powerful. And so when Vader was put in the suit, George Lucas said that Vader was only at 80% of the power that he would have been at if he had not lost his limbs on Mustafar. Even if he had burned up, like, Vader still would have been probably at 100% power. He just probably would have been put on some kind of life support. Well, maybe 90-95%. But Vader in the suit was at 80% of the power that Anakin Skywalker would have been at if he had been 100% of his power. So at this point, Anakin is completely a force to be reckoned with. Like, he is not something you want to mess with. And I guarantee the Jedi would have completely lost. So let's see how this goes.
He was terrifying with a lightsaber, and his strength and basic force telekinesis and mind control was unmatched by anyone in the galaxy. But he was still...
Oh, and I also want to say that Anakin... even though Palpatine, in Disney canon, Palpatine probably put the dreams into Anakin's mind of Padme dying. In Legends and official canon, George Lucas stated that Anakin had a gift for sensing the future. Like, that was one of his biggest force powers, was sensing the future. So I guarantee that, like, originally Anakin really did sense the future, and he did see Padme dying, and that was the future. But also Yoda said that the Force is always in motion. So in Legends and in canon, it was always a possibility that Padme would end up dying, but,
still the apprentice and followed the wishes of his master, for now at least. Let's fast forward towards the beginning of the Clone War. The clone army is found on Kamino due to Palpatine's careful manipulations, and the Separatists declare war on the Republic, and the Clone War begins. The Republic takes command of the clones, and the Jedi become the generals, and the galaxy is thrust into chaos. Only 2 weeks after the beginning of the war, as the initial skirmishes begin to take place, Tenebrous, the Senator Varen Malvos, had an appointment with the Chancellor Palpatine. This was normal for a high-ranking senator to meet with the Chancellor, but the meeting wouldn't go as Palpatine expected. Tenebrous brought his adopted son with him, Anakin, and handed Palpatine a gift, some Bothan honey cake from their recent trip to Botho Wui. Palpatine thanks them for the gift and ate some of the cake there and then, as it would have been rude not to. However, hidden deep within the cake was the virus Tenebrous and Anakin had created. Palpatine was unsuspecting.
Zombie
he didn't
virus.
sense anything wrong with the cake, but this was because Tenebrous had put up a force cloak upon it.
Ads.
Disney Speedstorm is available now on mobile
And
and PC with Google
skip.
Hiding the presence of the virus, Tenebrous told Palpatine that he wanted to talk with him about the Clone War, but he doesn't get that far, as the virus begins to take action on Palpatine. He coughs and loosens his collar, and instantly feels something is wrong in the Force. He grabs his throat as he senses his connection to the Force weakening, as he looks up to see both Tenebrous and Anakin smiling, watching him in pain. Palpatine goes to cast lightning at his attackers, but the sparks flicker from his fingertips and dissipate. He panics and goes to use the Force to attempt to grab one of his lightsabers, hidden in a close vase nearby, but the saber shoots across the room, and Palpatine can't accurately control it with the Force. His connection to the Force dwindled even further, until it snapped, completely severed and gone, as the virus had done its job. Palpatine yelled at them, asking both of them what they had done, but Tenebrous raises Palpatine up into the air with the Force, and ignites his lightsaber at his throat, telling him they've severed his connection to the Force, only a power that a true Sith in the galaxy could achieve. Palpatine couldn't believe it, what he was seeing. There were other Sith outside him and Plagueis, and they were indeed stronger. He demands to know who they are, and Tenebrous proclaims that he was indeed the master of his own master Plagueis. Tenebrous tells Palpatine to open his comm station and execute Order 66, but he refuses, until Tenebrous waves his hand over his head, using a Force mind trick, and without his connection to the Force, Palpatine cannot resist, and he opens his communication to every clone commander around the galaxy, and executes Order 66. The Coruscant Guard rush in for their orders, and Tenebrous forces Palpatine to tell the Coruscant Guard to take the vaporizer guns that Tenebrous had brought with them, containing a vaporized version of the virus, to the Jedi Temple, and begins spraying it around every square inch. They do this, and Tenebrous executes Palpatine, and he and Anakin go to the Jedi Temple. Together they start cutting down Jedi, as the Coruscant Guard dispense the virus around the temple, and they can sense the Jedi's connection to the Force dwindling. Anakin and Tenebrous' defense remains strong, as they were indeed immune to the virus's effects after years of microdosing it. But Tenebrous and Anakin didn't really need to be at the temple. There was only one reason Tenebrous wanted to be there, not to kill Jedi, but because he knew Plagueis would arrive, and his former apprentice does. Plagueis sensed the execution of Order 66 across the planet, but also the death of his apprentice, and his mind raced with the possibilities of what it could be. And what it indeed was something he least expected. He stands opposite Tenebrous as he addresses Plagueis as his former apprentice, who thanks him for all the work he's done for him over the years. The clone army, the midichlorians, it was all a part of his plan, and he thanked him for it. Plagueis can't believe it. Yes, the Sith standing opposite him is a Bith, but he addressed him as his former apprentice. Could it really be Tenebrous? Tenebrous, sensing the questioning in Plagueis' mind, told Plagueis that it really is him, Tenebrous, that he survived his murder years ago through essence transfer, and now has come to reclaim the title as Dark Lord of the Sith. Tenebrous sends Anakin to the Senate to call for an emergency Senate meeting, whilst Tenebrous and Plagueis stand off. They both ignite their lightsabers and rush towards each other with a relenting fury. Plagueis can't believe he's been manipulated all these years by his master, who was really pulling the strings, and Tenebrous felt joy, sensing the absolute panic inside of Plagueis. He knew Plagueis was fearful of death. It was his major flaw, and he would exploit this fear in this duel. Plagueis was strong on the
but
Force.
by this time, Plagueis would have figured out
but
that
Tenebrous had calculated the outcome of this duel many years ago, with 99.99% accuracy, and there was only one victor of this duel, and his name was Tenebrous, the true Dark Lord of the Sith, who cuts down his former apprentice, enacting his revenge for his supposed death all those years ago. Tenebrous returned to the Senate, and alongside Anakin, they released their cart into the center of the chamber. He details the lies he's fabricated to everyone, that what's happened to the Jedi was a separatist attack, and that his informants have revealed that Count Dooku is behind this, and that the entire Jedi Order have been wiped out, and both Chancellors along with them. Shock encompasses everyone,
really smart.
as they're filled with a feeling of doom, as without the Jedi and Chancellors, how can they win the war? But Tenebrous tells them that he's thwarted the rest of Dooku's plan, and that the clones have returned under their control. But if they're to overcome this attack, they must have a stable and strong leader, and Tenebrous declares that he will become Chancellor, as he is the only one in the Senate who can recover the Republic from the position it's in, that only his tactical Bith mind can steer the Republic into the correct direction. Tenebrous was good. He stripped hope away from everyone in the chamber, but then gave it back to them, and they all cheer as he announces his ascension to Chancellor.
As manipulative
it was his.
as ever.
He had done it. He had control over the Republic and clone army.
Then we all
he
know
wasted
why.
no time in ending the war. Dooku couldn't believe that both Sidious and Plagueis had both died, and he quickly realized how, as he was found and hunted down by Anakin himself, whose power was too much for the old Dark Jedi, who killed him, and Anakin executed the rest of the Separatist Council. Anakin also hunted down Maul and Grievous, making easy work of them, and the once terrifying Confederacy of Independent Systems was now no more than a band of small worlds with no real power. Tenebrous was praised for his efforts in the Senate, and declared to everyone that the war was over, that they had no one left to fear. But he also announces that he and Anakin will transform the Republic into something far greater, the First Galactic Empire, and together they will continue to reform the galaxy for the greater good. This was supported in the Senate through cheers due to Anakin and Tenebrous' accomplishments. Tenebrous had done it. His decades of calculated planning had come to fruition. Although a few hiccups along the way regarding his essence transfer into Anakin, he had become the true Sith ruler, and alongside Anakin, they had complete control over the galaxy, and would transform it into whatever they wanted. Also, Tenebrous thought he could be content ruling alongside Anakin, but as you watch Skywalker grow older and stronger, he started to fear that one day his apprentice would turn on him and take the Empire for himself.
If he taught him the true way of the Sith, yes, he would.
And Tenebrous decided he would act first. 5 years had passed since their ascension to Emperors, and the entire known galaxy was under their control. Their stars were under production, and they had clones stationed on every world to ensure their control. Tenebrous had deepened his studies on the midichlorians, learning more from the journals of Plagueis.
And skip!
And he was close to achieving the power over life and death. But what started to fear him was the power of his apprentice Anakin, who was still content being the apprentice, But his power had eclipsed Tenebrous, who had sensed this, but wasn't sure Anakin had, and decided to act before Anakin realized this. He entered Anakin's room one night when he was asleep, and started the same ritual he tried to do many years ago. He attempted to free his consciousness from his own body, and thrust it inside Anakin, stealing his body, and thus power, through the Force technique of essence transfer. Tenebrous believed the dark side would grant him this, since he was the one who enacted the grand plan, and wiped out the Jedi once and for all.
Yeah, but
he had calculated his odds, and believed he would be successful. He latched onto Anakin's consciousness, and felt it working. His maxichlorians were connected to Anakin's body, and he was slowly gaining control, and he started to see and feel through Anakin.
Yeah, but
then
Anakin would not
Anakin
take it.
awoke, and his mind engulfed into a pure fiery
Like I
rage.
said.
As he fought back against Tenebrous's attack, he thrust Tenebrous's maxichlorians from his body through sheer willpower, and Tenebrous couldn't believe the power of Anakin's consciousness. He was losing, and he had
was
to give
created by
everything
the
he
Force.
had to latch onto Anakin's body, but there was nothing he could do. The being he had helped create through the Force was too strong for Tenebrous's attempts at essence transfer, and this failed, as his consciousness was forced out of Anakin's mind and body, and thus, you could not reverse the attempts of essence transfer, and Tenebrous's initial body was gone, and Tenebrous's soul and consciousness fragmented. He attempted to latch onto anyone, anything around him, but there was nothing, and finally after all these years, after one death in the past, Tenebrous faced his true and final death, as his consciousness faded away into the Force. Tenebrous's ignorance was that he believed his philosophy of the Force was correct. He believed he could predict the Force and take from the energy pool in which he believed it was. He ignored the mystical nature that Plagueis, Palpatine, and other Sith Lords of the past favored, and thought he had transcended the block that he had once faced in the past when attempting to take over Anakin's mind.
Didn't work.
But he was mistaken, and this negligence ultimately cost him his life, and now the Empire was Anakin's, and his alone, but he had complete freedom to do whatever he wanted. And so this ends the long and interesting tale of Darth Tenebrous the Calculated.
Hey guys, make sure to check out our saber shop, Fantasy Sabers, for the best NeoPixel sabers on the market. We have a bunch of perfect replicas and other insane Padawan sabers for sale. Check them out on our website, first link in the description below, and grab your own one today.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to watch What If Darth Plagueis Trained Anakin Skywalker and What If Darth Vader Was a Clone of Anakin Skywalker.
Alright, so I gotta say, this was an awesome video. Oh crap, dude. Darth Tenebrous, or Tenebrous, I don't know, however you want to pronounce it. So Darth Tenebrous is a very interesting character. So if you haven't seen Star Wars Theory's explanation of all of the Sith, like the lineage of the Sith, you might want to watch that. Darth Tenebrous was the master to Darth Plagueis, who is the master of Palpatine, aka Darth Sidious, and Tenebrous. Man, it's interesting to see, like the Sith legends. Like here's the thing: the light is the good, and it's always good to be good. I only have a red lightsaber because I like the evil characters and I like to portray them or cosplay them, but I also like to have a little bit of fun. But I do not like the evil. I am all for the Jedi surviving. So that sounds bad, but this was oh my goodness, this was a fantastic theory, and I would love to definitely check out more. So if you want to see more videos like this of me reacting to any Star Wars what ifs, or any more what ifs of Star Wars, Dragon Ball, Harry Potter, definitely leave a comment down in the comment section below. I'm going to hop off of this and do this. So thank you all so much for watching. We'll catch more what if videos next time, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye, everybody. Share with your friends, share with your family if you think it's appropriate, and if it's inappropriate, share with your friends with the entire internet. My name is Referee Rob Jackson. This is Chop Saw TV, aka Referee Rob Jackson. I will see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.